This particular patient that we're going to be looking at was a really sweet little 1960s, we think, rabbit that had got very obvious problems with his filling, which had become very clumpy and had collapsed inside. So he needed to be opened up for us to have a look at what was going on. Usually when we do a refilling, we would unpick the seams at the back and then remove the filling by hand and then hoover out anything that was remaining. But this filling, which initially would have been a foam filling, had gotten wet and had become, in this particular leg, the left leg, had become incredibly sticky. This was the most difficult one to deal with. The right leg was similar, but it was much drier than this. But I particularly wanted to show you this, which is kind of the consistency of honeycomb sweet that has been sucked and spat out. And it was just sticking to the inside. Even putting the hoover in there wasn't pulling it away. It was stuck firm to the inside of the limb. And that's partly what's been discolouring him, because you can imagine every time it gets damp, this stuff is breaking down and getting onto the fur from the inside. So this is one of the other limbs which had got, it's almost like dirt. It's greyer than the others. It's quite fascinating. You can see in the top of the screen there, the slightly drier. And here I am. This is actually, once as much as we could get out with the pliers is out. This is just taking off the clumps, the rest of it by hand. And those are the different fillings that we found inside this poor fella. I'm using a fork. I know you might think, why a fork? But actually it's gentler. They're more rounded than knives or even screwdrivers or anything like this. And I just find it easier to just loosen up, so I'm not damaging what were thankfully plastic joints. I've never seen plastic joints, but normally hardboard or wood, which we couldn't have wet and washed and would have meant totally rejointing. In this case, for now, we're going to get off as much as we can and dry him out thoroughly and hope that he'll last for a good few years before he needs completely rejointing. I'll make another secondary video to this that shows you what he looks like once he's complete.